Hello, hello. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Career Conversations. I'm your host, Unica Walcott, and I'm super excited to introduce you to today's guest, Josh Plicque. He is the founder of Or Equals. It is a software development company, but in addition to developing software, he's also a semi-pro poker player. And so we're going to learn all about his journey to becoming a founder of a software development company. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thank you, Unica. That was a beautiful intro, brevity, brief and to the point. Thank you.
Well, I want people to have the opportunity to listen and tell it, for you to tell your story, not for me to tell it. So I'm like, look, this is what you really need to know, like just software development, which is exciting. And you're a founder of a company. What does your family think you do when you tell them you're a founder of a software development company?
Yeah, so when I tell people, I'm actually weird about introducing myself to people in general because because when people say, "Oh, so what do you do?" Like, I don't want to say, "Oh, I own a company." But the thing is, it's important because, I'm always wanting to be in the realm of, like, when you're a business owner, you can really never turn off. Like, very often, like, I'm a semi-pro poker player. I go to house games and I'm at the casino. It comes up, what do you do? I always say I have a small, like, that's to minimize it. It is small. There's only 4 or 5 of us. I have a small custom business software company. And I still am weird about it because, like, I don't want to sound pretentious, but I also think it's important to not just say I'm a software developer, which is also true. So, like, I still haven't figured out how to introduce myself because I do want to take it as a little baby marketing opportunity if it's possible. So yeah, I'm actually weird about introducing myself right now. So that's where I'm at right now, which is I run a small custom business software consultancy. That's what I say right now. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's concise and to the point. And so if people are interested and they want to bite, they'll get into that conversation with you. I think that's a solid introduction. For the most part, people, I feel like, usually buy from you or do business with you if they like you. They don't really give a crap what you do, but if you got what they need, they're calling you first.
Right,
so
right.
That's my opinion. But I'm gonna need you to be a little less timid about introducing yourself. You're like, I kind of don't want to talk about the fact that I'm a business owner. It's pretentious. What is pretentious about success?
Well, it's a roller coaster ride. People definitely feel jealous and envious of me, and I think that's what's sad about life in general. Where people, they see you and they like, oh man, he's got a business and this and that. And what the real story is like, what people don't know is the sacrifices I've made, how much money I've left on the table by not taking a high-paying software development job. I've had some seriously enticing business offers, like custom made, like talking to a guy who has $1 billion company and he's like, hey, I want you to be a director of software development at my company. I'm going to give you a custom package. And like I had to really go dig deep and realize that I was willing to continue with the initial struggle of starting my company as opposed to not getting a really nice cushy job with an amount of equity that could have turned into a million, if not millions of dollars. Like I've legitimately sacrificed that at the altar of pursuing my own business, at the altar of continuing to struggle. And it's all because of I guess entrepreneurship is really popular in our society now. Like, oh, like be your own boss. And
yeah,
it's the 9 to 5.
Like a Boston. Oh, shame on you if you don't have 4 side hustles. Like, yeah.
Right. And that's what people don't understand is that when you initially start a business and it's just you're the amount of work you have to put in, it's not 9 to 5. This is kind of cliche too now, which is it's 24/7. And that's absolutely true. The reason why is because you're no longer doing just your job being a software developer. You're now doing marketing. You're now doing sales. You're now putting pitches together. You're now trying to hire people. Now you got to fire people. And so now you've got your initial responsibility. Yeah. And now you got to, tell people, oh, it's not going to work out here. You're like, oh, I hope I don't get sued. Like, do I do a severance package? It's all about navigating. And that's why my experience as a semi-pro poker player was really useful for me starting a business. Is you have to navigate uncertainty and risk and reward. And it's precisely applicable to running a business where, hey, okay, I need to fire this person. How much more work do I have to take on? Like, is it even worth it to fire this person? Like, can I afford to hire this person? Can I, if I'm going to take 2 or 3 days to develop this pitch. Is it worth doing this pitch, or should I continue working with my current clients? And then like, okay, if I drop down to 20 hours a week of billable work, so that means I have to hire somebody at 40 hours a week. Do I have enough work where I can actually afford to hire someone? So entrepreneurship is seen as this like pinnacle of achievement in society. And I'm just, I guess, what off the bat, I know I'm coming out firing, but like, I just want to say,
great. Like people need that reality check.
Right. It's truly a reality check, because your initial set of your initial responsibility is to, one, learn how to run a business, because there's a book called The Personal MBA, and it's got like the 5 parts of a business. And those things are, which is value creation. You have to actually deliver value to the marketplace. Another one is marketing, sales. So you have to market. People have to know who you are and why you provide value to the market. Provide value. You have to have a value proposition. Marketing, sales. You now have to, especially in my business, you have to be able to sit in front of somebody and say, I want to sell you a $5 or $6 or even $7 or figure deal. And you have to, I've legitimately sat across the table from a business owner. And so this deal in particular was worth $270,000 for a piece of software. And one, I had never even sold a 6-figure deal. And so I'm now at a $250,000 deal. And I had a small business owner. I said, hey, this project's going to take a long time to build. It's going to cost you $270,000. And he sat back in his chair and he said, I've never spent this kind of money before other than buying a house. So, and then he looked at me in my eyes and he said, so you're meaning to tell me that you want me to bet what's equivalent to my own house on purchasing software from you? And I looked him dead in his eye. And so that's part of it too. Like, entrepreneurship requires self-belief. Like, and I looked this man dead in the eye because I've done this multiple times. At this point, like, I've never done it under my own name, under my own company, but I've done it as a software development consultant in the past underneath other names. And so I looked him dead in his eye and it's like, yes, I can, and we will. And actually, what's funny about that is that we're launching that software tonight after this presentation. That software is going live at midnight, and the reason why that's interesting is that it's been a 1.5 year long project. And
wow.
So that's like, I guess, like all that to bring it back, which is entrepreneurship. It's really about, you're going to spike up in the amount of work that you have to do initially. And your first thing is to figure out those 5 parts of a business, which is, if you're like an employee, you usually don't have to account for all those different aspects. You have to sell. You have to get your name out there via marketing. You have to deliver value you have to have a value proposition. Number 4, you need to deliver the said value, because if you have the other aspects, marketing and sales and value prop, but value delivery, if you don't deliver it, then your company is a scam. And then finally, finances. This is the part that people really don't know about. Finances is the 5th arm, remember, or the 5th leg of the 5 parts of a business. Remember, that's in that book, The Personal MBA. Okay. If you don't know how to, like, what's that? I'm sorry.
It's called the Personal MBA.
Correct. Yeah, that book, just like the summary of that book are these 5 different pillars of a business, which is finances. Like, if you're not offering, let me be perfectly honest with the audience right now. If your business is not profitable, you do not have a business, because it's a charity at that point, because you're pouring money in and it's not generating. With cash is oxygen to a business. You have to be building your bank account, because that allows you to be able to expand, to be able to rent an office or buy an office or hire employees. If you're not making money, you do not have a business. And so all these things are encompassed in ultimately what I'm saying is, like, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's not this vaunted space where like the elite of society go to. Like, you legitimately have to believe in yourself. You have to expand and learn dozens of skills, and you have to figure out, like, you're going to be spiking up in how much work you have to do. And as soon as possible, you need to figure out how to hire people to take on the sales, the marketing, the value delivery, the value proposition tasks, so that you can continue to think at a higher level in your business in terms of like expanding. Like, I guess that's my message for today initially, which is entrepreneurship is not as sexy as you think it is. It's going to require you, at least for me, it has required me to build my character as a human being and as a grown man. I've had to grow personally. Like when I give my word to somebody, like that guy, right? That $270,000 project, it's gotten to a point where I've had to eat a lot of costs where I started going over budget. So in your personal life, being a man of your word, that may or may not have long-reaching consequences. But in business, when I have a man sitting across the table from me saying, you want me to spend $270,000 equivalent to what I paid for my house, and you're going to deliver this to me. And so when I give him my word and then I don't deliver that via said contract, or like it could lead to me being sued. It could lead to me getting a bad reputation. Like, and so I've had to grow. When I give I'm much more considerate of the word that I give to people in my personal and my professional life, because in business, it has cost me tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for being loose-lipped and being inconsiderate of the things I say to people. And so that's what the beauty of entrepreneurship is because everything is your fault at the end of the day. And so that means like you have to perform. Just like as an employee, all of us have to perform. We live in a capitalistic society. And so when you show up to the marketplace, when you show up to your job, you have to deliver. In entrepreneurship, it's at a even higher level because your employees are dependent on you. You must land this sale. Otherwise, you got to let people go. Or let me just stop there. Okay. Like that, my message today is entrepreneurship is cool. It is awesome, but I'm painting the whole picture for everybody. It is not for the faint of heart.
No, it sounds like there's so many things that go in there. You mentioned though the character development piece. What experience really helped you understand what parts of your character you needed to develop, and what did you do next?
Right. So a big part of that was with respect to that $270,000 project. We've gotten to the end of it, and I've had to give about $50,000 worth of discounts because we've gone over budget. And I've had to consider what the initial scope of the project is, things that he's asked for in addition to that. And I said, it's not going to cost you a penny more. I said this at the very beginning of the project. I said this to him, looked him in his eye, and I said, it's not going to cost you a penny more than $270,000. So I've had to have some difficult conversations about what was in scope and what was out of scope. And if something was in scope and it took me longer to build, I'm still on the hook for that because that's what I pledged to this man. I'm contractually obligated to do. So in regards to building character, like another aspect of that is like, if I show up late, I have 4 employees. If I start showing up late to work, then what excuse, like I can't hold people to a standard that I don't live to. For example, I usually, my official start time at the company is 9:30 a.m. because I know that within that 30-minute window of 9 to 9:30, I want to be able to flex and be able to show up at 9:15. So therefore, our official company policy is that we legitimately start at 9:30 a.m. And if you start at any time within that 30-minute window, my only expectation is that you extend your workday. Say we end at 5 p.m. Like if you show up at 9:15, I expect you to work till 5:15. And there's nothing to be said for that initial 30-minute window. After that, we have to have a conversation. So these are the kinds of things you have to consider, like character, like how am I going to get on to somebody for being 25 minutes late to work when I show up 25 minutes late to work? And so character building is about saying that, okay, what are the standards that I have for myself? And my personal standards are going to be extended to my business. And so that means if I'm going to hold my employees to a certain level of accountability, then I have to hold myself to that first. And like, that is the ultimate measure of accountability because like, that's what I love. That's what I love and hate about entrepreneurship. All your mistakes are magnified. And so that's why if you want to succeed, you must build character.
I love it. I don't know that a lot of people think about how, as an entrepreneur or an executive or founder of a company, all your mistakes are magnified, as you said, or as well as your success.
Right. So that's the upside. And so the upside is you have control over the revenue. And so you can control the levers of the business in regards to making more sales or reducing your expenses. So the upside is that the rewards are much greater. You're rewarded for that extra risk, for that extra responsibility. Uncle Ben said it best in the Spider-Man saga, with great power comes great responsibility. But the reward of great responsibility is that you have greater rewards on the other side. And so while I am shooting a lot of shots at entrepreneurship, don't be confused. It's definitely worth the effort, personally, professionally, and financially.
So what is the most rewarding part about being a founder of a company for you?
the most rewarding thing that I've had that I've been able to experience is really hiring employees, in the sense that a lot of the people that work for me, this is their first job in tech. And so what's been rewarding for me is being able to train them from the ground up. And literally everybody that's at my company now, there's only 4 people, so it's not like it's like that big. But the 4 people that are at
you and I are going to have like an offline conversation about minimizing your accomplishments. This is unacceptable, sir.
Right. Okay. Well, I will accept it. What the most rewarding thing about running my company is the fact that these 4 people, they can go and get jobs in tech, higher paying jobs than what they had. One guy was a carpenter before. He has no college degree. He was a carpenter. I saw that he was working hard, and I just offered him a job. And he had a ton of imposter syndrome, and he was like, why do I even have this job? Why am I here? Like, you talked to me for 30 minutes and you just offered me a job. And so what he doesn't know, this is also an aspect of entrepreneurship. What he doesn't realize is that going in, just like in poker, I've already considered my downside before I hired him and offered him the job. What does it look like after 30 days and I have to fire him? Like, what is the risk of me getting sued? Like, how much money did I put in towards salary and training? How much of my own time did I not bill to train this person? And like, what is the reward if he does work out after 30, 60, 90 days? And so when I do that risk reward calculation, he's now, okay. I didn't finish answering the question, which is the greatest reward is that guy in particular. He now has a skill that he can take and feed his family at a much higher rate than he would have made as a carpenter. He's happier because it's a skill that he's worked at, and he is achieving a level of mastery at, and he can take that skill and go anywhere in the world and be a software developer. And that's because of the company that I built and the opportunities that I created because of the sales and marketing that I did. And so without me, he might have been still a carpenter and coding in his free time and not knowing how to get an opportunity in this field. And so while he may have had imposter syndrome, because I existed, because I was blessed with the opportunities that I could extend to him, he now can feed his family for years to come. Like, I could pass away tomorrow. All the guys at my company have a skill that they can transfer to other companies. And I would say that is the most, and I'm overjoyed, and I am blessed to be able to say this, that the greatest achievement of running a business is the increased scope of the achievement, where when we deliver this software, literally tonight, it's a team achievement. When I started it, it was just a company with just me. When I was looking across the table from that guy, it was, okay, Joshua Plique's going to build this software. But I've actually turned this company into an actual business where there's 4 people working on this thing, and we're going to go have just a beautiful steak dinner. And like, the achievement is so much more worth it than if it was just me, Joshua Plique. Like, who cares? Like, where's the legacy in that? Like, the legacy of this is that these guys that came on at Or Equals, they can feed their families. This career, it supersedes whatever Or Equals will or won't be, because they now have a skill that they can take with them anywhere. They have a career, a high paying career. And that, I would say, is my greatest achievement.
I can hear
Gosh, I'm like on fire. I know.
Passion in your body language, like, you're like, this is it. Like, I want you to just take a moment and breathe and like feel that.
Right. Yeah. I'm actually getting a little lightheaded. I don't think I've been breathing.
Yeah. So breathe. I don't want you to pass out mid-episode. Then you might try and sue me. Then I'm in trouble. I'm very proud of you. Congratulations on your achievements. Like, this is the stuff I want to showcase. So thank you for saying yes to my invitation. I want to talk a little bit about the name Or Equals. Why did you come up with the name? What was the inspiration behind it?
So a common trope amongst software development companies is to take a programming concept and spin it as a company name. So there's a company called there's a software development company called Test Double. A test double is a double, of course, is like when you're going to perform a stunt in a movie, you put in your stunt double because this person is theoretically less valuable than the main actor of the film. So a test double is when you're running tests on your software, you put like a fake version of the data in where like, oh, like I don't care about this data. This is not our real data. So there's a company called Test Double. So in the Or Equals comes from, there's a concept in specifically the Ruby programming language where it's like a performance technique. It's with the or sign and the equal sign. And what it does is if you have like a very expensive operation, like say you need to get the last 1,000 tweets about COVID-19 on from Twitter.com's API. So API is how you get data from Twitter into your system. So say I want to get those 1,000 tweets, it takes me some time to download that data. The or equals operator allows me to be more efficient, because if I've detected that I've already done that and I've already gotten that 1,000 collection of tweets, it will store the data in memory. So what the or equals operator does is go do this if you haven't done it, but if you've done it, just give me what you already did. Like, it's like, go do the work once, and then we can just keep making a reference to the original piece of work. And so that's what the or equals is operator does. And so it's a play on what's a programming concept. It's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, what does that mean? Like, and like, it was so easy to get the domain. I have orequals.com. Like, it's so hard to get a domain in the modern era. Yeah. So it's a performance optimization. And, you know, I guess the business side of it is, you know, we're going to make your business more efficient with the work that we do with custom software. So
I love it. That makes
it's a double entendre.
I love it. I love it. Or equals isn't like, we're going to make this more efficient. We're not going to do it twice. That is fantastic. What would you say to someone who wanted to enter a career in software development? We talked a lot about the entrepreneurship part of it.
Right.
But what kind of character or studying would be required?
Right. So if you're trying to enter a career into tech, I would suggest that I would suggest if you wanted to learn a new programming language, which is immersion. Or not programming language, I'm sorry, a spoken language like Spanish or French. Mm-hmm. You need to immerse yourself in the world that software developers go. Go to meetups, whether it be whatever. You need to target a programming language. I would personally suggest the JavaScript programming language, specifically the React.js technology, which comes from Facebook. This is how the Facebook user interface was created. It was built with a front-end technology called React. React is written inside of the JavaScript programming language. The most palpable set of opportunity in the programming ecosystem is building user interfaces with React using the JavaScript framework. JavaScript is so powerful because you can use it both on the front end for web browsers, and you can use it as a back-end programming language. So you get more bang for your buck by learning JavaScript, because you can be a back-end developer or you can be a front-end developer. And there's the most opportunity because a lot of people are building rich user interfaces in their applications today. So I would suggest learning JavaScript and React. I would suggest immersion. Go and get yourself around developers. And then finally, I would say that this is something that you need to be devoting 2 to 4 hours per day for 9 to 12 months. Like, if you're deciding to be a software developer or make a career transition into tech, it's got to be something that is a daily commitment. Because the reason why is because coding software is hyperlogical. It's like literally like, go 5 paces forward, turn to the right 30 degrees, go 2 paces, turn around 180 degrees. These are the instructions that we give to the computer, because the computer is going to do precisely what you tell it. Nothing more and nothing less. And so that requires like a shift to your mind. Like, when I was learning how to program, I would legitimately, like, when I had my first job as a software developer, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd have code in my mind. And so what's interesting about that is if you actually like observe other people who have learned a skill, like I used to have dreams. Like when I was a kid, when I was 16 or 17 years old, I used to play a game called Counter-Strike. And there's a modern version of it called Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's similar to like Call of Duty or Fortnite. And I was so immersed in like getting better at the game, I would actually have, and this is like an observed phenomenon. If you go on Reddit about first-person shooter games, I would actually have dreams about the video game, like just shooting people in the game. And that was actually my mind, like solving problems that I would have playing the game. And it was the same thing in programming. And so one of the guys also on my team, he reported to me that he was also having coding dreams when he was learning how to code. And so the fact that like I'm able to relate to the audience that there's a mind shift that must happen for you to be able to code and think in that hyperlogical fashion, it's got to be something that you're doing every day to give your mind the opportunity to be able to be frustrated and solve those problems at night. And then finally, something even more concrete that I would suggest to somebody is to go join a coding boot camp. These things are going to cost anywhere from $10 to $30, $40,000, but it's definitely worth more than a college degree because you can get out of there between 4 to 9 months, and a career as a software development or a career in tech, you can legitimately be coming out of that boot camp with a 6-figure salary. So it's definitely worth your time. It's got to be something that you're committed to, otherwise it's never going to work.
Commitment. That is so critical to anything that we do. I'm so tickled by the dreams about coding. Right. For a second though, because my neighbor is like mowing, and I'm like, this is not the time.
It's annoying, yeah.
But that's what makes us, real life.
Right, exactly. We got to keep going.
Yeah. So when you started in tech, what was different that you didn't anticipate?
What I did not expect when I entered a software development career is that, like, when you encounter a doctor, you kind of know what they do. When you talk to a lawyer, you kind of know what they do. When you talk to a salesperson or a marketing person, you kind of know what they do. And so what's interesting for me is that when you talk to somebody about tech, like, for example, a lot of times when I tell somebody either I'm a software developer or I have a software development consulting firm, very often, I'd say about 30% of the time, people get real quiet, and you can tell that they're getting really nervous. And it's because they don't know where to take the conversation because they have no point of reference. Like a doctor, it's like, oh yeah, okay, like what do you specialize in? Or a lawyer, it's like, oh, do you do corporate law? Do you do contract? With tech, a lot of people, like, there's just a complete, like, just lack of knowledge of what software people do. And so that was the most surprising thing for me to learn about software. What I've also come to understand is that there's a source of opportunity specifically for me because I can speak to non-technical people about technical topics. I can make them feel like they know what they're talking about, and I don't make them feel dumb for not knowing about technical things. A lot of technical people, because they have egos, they would talk over someone's head who doesn't know anything about tech. And that only creates alienation. Sort of like when I talk to people and I tell them what I do, that 30% of people that get real quiet, like that, there's an alienation aspect of that, which is like, oh, I don't know what he's talking about, so I'm not going to say anything. I don't want him to know that, like, I don't know anything about tech. So the opportunity of people not knowing about technical topics or software is that if you can communicate, there's actually a position for specifically this. It's called being a solutions architect. A solutions architect in Silicon Valley, this is someone who kind of sits between the sales team and the technical team, and they talk to, like, non-technical people presenting technical topics or technical solutions in a way that's palpable and, like, understandable and relatable for people who cannot speak technically. And that has been a source of opportunity. The reason why I'm able to have my own consulting firm is because I'm able to talk to these business owners that don't know technology, and I'm able to communicate with them where they can feel like they're part of the club. And, like, that's that there's an endearing aspect of that to my personality. And I would say that there's a huge opportunity for that in tech, because very often there's, like, you either know or you don't know. I think technical sophistication, knowing about technical topics is a really important aspect of society. And, like, you can't lose if you, like, software is eating the world. Like, you, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, in my biased opinion, every company is a software company. Whether you're selling chicken, whether you're selling stockings, there's always going to be some code involved in your business.
I was going to ask you to break that down for me, but you did. You said, though, there's always some code in your business. Even Chick-fil-A is a software business.
Right. That's to my benefit to believe that, but I do actually believe that.
Look, it is perfectly fine to share that kind of bias here. That kind's fine. What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was growing up, I wanted to be an inventor. I wanted to build random things, and that's actually what I want to turn Or Equals into. Is I want to turn it into a software incubator. I don't want to be doing time and billing forever. I want to be able to, like, incubate startups, little small startups, and invest in it, and, like, just throw like 30, 60, 90 days of effort at an idea, throw it out to the marketplace, throw some Facebook ads, Instagram ads at it, see if it works. If not, like that's what I was talking about with the finance arm. Of the 5 parts of a business, finances, this is what profit allows you to do. It allows you to take on risks. And so while we're, as a company, doing time and billing and providing value to the marketplace, I'm going to be reinvesting those profits back into being able to devote staff time onto these like harebrained ideas. And I want one. I know that if I just keep throwing dollars and effort at it, one of them will succeed, and we can transition into becoming a software company that has its own software as opposed to a software development company. So even though I was a kid, I was thinking about being an inventor. I'm sort of like I have ambition to be a virtual inventor now. So I never let it go.
Like, is that
right. Yeah. So the metaverse is a hot topic. I think personally, the metaverse, I think it's a bit early. I think Facebook, so the years, today is May 5th, 2022. And as of this time, about a few months prior, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook renamed his company to Meta, which was a transition into the metaverse. And that got everybody talking about the metaverse. A big part of why that happened is because Facebook's been under fire in terms of its branding in regards to privacy concerns and possible tampering with the latest election. And so it's just it was a good rebranding opportunity. He's been apparently I was listening to a podcast about him. He's put in about $10 billion already investing into the metaverse. I think that we're probably still 5 years early before people are coming home and entering the metaverse or working inside of the metaverse. I think we're years away. I think it was a bit early. It was a good opportunity for Facebook to rebrand, but I think the metaverse, I think it's inevitable. The reason why I think it's inevitable is because we are already living this way. If I were to pull out my phone right now, you would see that or my computer, I spend about 4, 5, 6 hours on my phone every single day. I would say a large portion of society spends the vast majority of their day on the internet or consuming things on the internet. And so we have Brazilian butt lifts. Like this is lip injections, nose jobs. These things are becoming more common with now when I go on social media.
I think like in the latest issue of Essence about butt lifts actually. So
I saw a Brazilian butt lift today at lunch. I was like, dang, that booty's a little bit too big. Like, okay. That doesn't. Right. So I guess what I'm saying is we're already augmenting our bodies. Like we have a phone that's very almost connected. Like my phone's right next to me. I'm sure your phone is within arm's reach almost 24 hours a day. It's recording everything that you do. Exactly. We're already cyborgs. We're already cyborgs. Like there's going to come a time when these phones are going to be built into our hands. And that much is very clear to me. We already have that. It's just a matter of time. I think that the metaverse is inevitable because we're already proxying that. We're already living most of our time on our phones and on the internet. We have our augmented technology, like we have our Wikipedia in our back pocket. We have access to all this information. And so something like a metaverse, while it makes people nervous, I would argue that we are already living in the metaverse, and it's just only going to become more real. I don't know. Yeah.
Because I've got thoughts, and I've had lots of curiosity around augmented and virtual reality, even as from a marketing standpoint. It's something that I've talked about in like client presentations and stuff. So I definitely think it has a place. I think that 5 years is very generous in terms of how long before people really adopt it. I mean, maybe it's because like in tech world terms, I'm a dinosaur at this point in life. But I feel like it's more like 10 or 15 years off, not like 5. In fact, I don't know how.
I'm not going to argue about the date range in regards to 5 to 10 to 15 years. I guess what I'm saying is like, I think it's more about the idea itself. Are we going to be in a metaverse? And I would say that absolutely. We already are. And it's going to be gradual. Like we're eventually going to get implants, contacts on our eyes where you can, see the temperature. Like it just makes sense. Like an alarm, like why do I have an alarm? What happened to the alarm clock? What happened to the home phone? Like all these things are being bolted into my phone. It's only going to be a matter of time where like like there's already like heart implants that tell you, like it can text your phone. It already sends a detail to your phone, like, oh man, like your blood pressure is getting high. And like, these are things that already exist. Like we're already becoming cyborgs in regards to like the cutting edge of medicine. And so I think that augmentation with the, you know, with the lip injections, Brazilian butt lifts, that's the reason why I brought all that up. Like so augmentation is becoming a part of life.
We're already very comfortable with augmenting our physical being.
Right. I think that I think augmentation and living in a meta world is inevitable. So, and I agree with you. I think it's going to take longer than 5 years. I think that was a bit ambitious, but I think it's.
No, but I get what you're saying. Like, does that scare you? Is my real question.
It does not scare me because, the reason why it doesn't scare me is because I think that's what we currently are. Like, I think that we have an abstraction in the sense that I have to look at my phone to enter the metaverse. I think that being able to like Tesla, right? Like I was riding my brother's car today and I was just looking at the user interface on his Tesla. He could see lights, he could see all the cars around him. It just makes sense. Like it just makes sense to be able to get access to information in a more like, it's just going to be a competitive advantage. Like if I can get a text message and see it on my eye, or like a stock market alert, and I can do a day trade faster than someone else. Like, I just think that augmenting my body with like technology, when I'm already doing it, like, because, I can get an alert on my phone, I can respond faster to the market. If I can be faster than someone else because I can see it in my eyeball before everybody else, that's just, it's a no-brainer. There's going to be cutting edge people that are doing it. It's going to be weird to people at first, just like breast implants were weird at some point. Just like people not having home phones were weird at some point. Having 5G internet, remember 5G, like we need to wear tinfoil hats. And like, it's just speed. I think speed, the fact that we can get information, anything that's going to make information travel faster, whether it have been the TV or the internet or the printing press, the internet, like all these optimizations to how communication can happen faster, society has always headed towards that faster way of communicating. And so if I can have this phone built into my body, I can communicate faster and I can be faster than everybody else. It's a competitive advantage. I have access to more information. Like, just imagine, like, a lot of people, what if instead of doing mental math to be impressive to somebody, like say, there's a book called Rapid Math Tricks, and where I'm going with this is like it can be impressive to somebody how fast you can pull up information. Like if somebody said, it happens all the time where somebody might say, what's the hottest area on planet Earth? And what if like you had something built into your body where it would just come up with the answer, and like you're an early adopter to this, and it shows up in your mind first, or like you have some sort of like, it shows up on your hand before you have to like contact Siri or do a Google search. This gives you an advantage. It can allow you to be impressive to other people. And so those people will be early adopters. They will be alienated by society at first, but then it's just the way it always has gone. Like if communication
was really curious, like, because I've never thought about this technology in terms of social advantage. I've always thought about it as a way that would bring disconnect. And so this is a really exciting perspective that you offer. It's not something that I really considered. I don't know if people are going to be out here finding spouses because they got an implant, like technology. But I would be curious to see that. And really just, for me, I would be much more curious about the social science behind all of it and how it unfolds and what it does to people's mental health and things of that nature. But in terms of its inevitability, I can't argue against that.
Right.
Just scares me a little bit.
Yeah. Understood.
So
we were scared of email back in 1999.
Good point. And maybe as a younger person, I wasn't, because like that, it's like we grew up with it. And I feel like that's how the metaverse will become normalized. Like my little cousins and nephews are like playing, with the headsets and the VR sets, and that's normal to them. And so I feel like as they progress into the new kinds of technology, it'll be less of a fear factor because it has been a part of their life.
Right.
So that's what's like, it feels inevitable because that's just kind of how the world goes.
Yeah, so
So
I try not to pass judgment on it. I just know that, like, personally, there's no reason for me. Sort of like as what's hot right now in politics is there's a leak of the Supreme Court justices, whether Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned or not. Personally, it's going to happen whether I know about it or whether I don't know about it. And so I don't have an opinion. Either they're going to do it. There's Supreme Court justices. There's 9 of them. They're going to either make that decision, whether I read about it and cry about it on Twitter or be like joyous about it on Twitter. It's going to happen whether I look or don't look. And so when I think about society's advancement to it, I actually don't have an opinion because, or I don't feel like it's worth it to have an opinion because I know that it's going to happen regardless of my opinion. So I guess that's laissez-faire approach to the topic.
that is extremely laissez-faire. We are going to just like park that there.
Okay.
Because I do understand the laissez-faire approach of like what depth of control do you have over things, and then there's the idea that if you do nothing, then you get what you get.
Sure,
So,
that's true.
So kind of, I can see both sides for sure. I guess on like a more or less lighter note, what do you do for fun?
Well, I definitely play poker for fun. So it's a nice activity where you're navigating risk and reward and navigating people's personalities in that very moment. Like, do they have this hand? Do they not have this hand? What other hands could they have? So that's a lot of fun. Recently started working out again, so it's kind of cool to be able to go to the gym and not wear masks. So I live in Florida, so we've been maskless almost the entire time. But so it's almost like just the status quo. Yeah. What's that?
I said no lies detected. I live in Florida too.
Right. Yeah, so I've been in the gym recently. What else do I do? Yeah, so it's been, I mean, that's ultimately what I was talking about with entrepreneurship. Like, it's 8 p.m. at the office. I was pretty much working up until this point, and I'm trying to scale the business by assigning work to other people. But at the end of the day, like, it's still something that requires a lot of time. So I don't necessarily have a balanced life. And yeah, I guess that leads us back to entrepreneurship, which is, you want to have those, you want to have wife and kids and hobbies and stuff. Like, you're gonna have to make a sacrifice especially at the very beginning, when you spike in how much responsibility you have in regards to having to file all these papers and do sales and marketing. Pick your poison, because entrepreneurship has its rewards, but it has its costs.
So we talked about the cost and the sacrifices. We talked about what makes this rewarding work for you. Do you envision a time where you would take a step back from your business and kind of watch it run? Or
No, I definitely don't see that anytime in the near future, where I could have somebody run it. Yeah, I cannot fathom that at the moment. So someone and a third-party observer could say, like, oh, that's non-scalable behavior that you're exhibiting, Josh, because you think like you just have a big ego and you think that you need to run your company. The thing is like, for me to be able to really take a step back, I need to have a salesperson. I need to have a marketing person. I need to create those jobs, have enough revenue. It all takes steps. Like, it has to be planned out. It can't just be like, oh, I'm going to just be an owner and someone's going to run my company. Like, everything has to be in place. And so the path to that is like really codifying every single thing that I do with my day. And so I heard something recently on some podcast where some guy said, if you're devoting 70% of your time to something, you need to be hiring for that position. And so what I'm constantly thinking about is, where is most of my time going? How do I build enough revenue and money in my business so I can hire for that, so that I can worry about the next problem? And so, of course, again, someone might say, you're always going to have problems. But I have to get to a point where the whole like client intake, attracting clients, delivering value with regards to code and all of it, I need to have a project manager. I need to have a designer. I need to have salespeople. I need to have marketing people. like I need to probably hire at least another 7 or 8 people before I can possibly think about taking my foot off the gas. So that's why, like, I laughed initially, and I don't want you to be offended by that.
I'm not offended. You've talked about the level of work that goes into it. So I'm asking these questions like from the viewpoint of like, how sustainable is it to be at this level in this mode? I mean, but you've said, 7 or 8 people before you can begin to even consider taking your foot off the gas. Realize that you're almost halfway there, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that I'm thinking about heavily because I'm 31 years old. I'm single. All my friends are having babies. They've married a while now, and it's like, dang, like y'all got all these darn babies. Y'all about to be on baby number 2 by the time I even possibly get engaged.
Look, so it's on baby number 2.
Yeah, y'all gonna be on baby number 2. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be. It's gonna take a while for me to do all that. And so a part of me is thinking, like, I'm actually getting to a point in the business where I can actually work probably a 40-hour week pretty soon. And it's like, ooh, that's really exciting. Working a normal job, like, wow, what does that look like? That's been a while. So in regards to like taking my foot off the gas, I don't see that in the near term, but being able to work like a normal person, like just focusing on the business, I think I've delegated enough between I have an admin person and 2 software developers. If I hire like a project manager, I can work full-time on marketing. That's your field. I'm excited about that because it's sort of like me working on a new skill, like focusing on marketing, less on coding, just doing marketing and sales. Okay. And so that's very exciting to me. So I don't actually have a desire to take my foot off the gas because I'm now like the beauty of entrepreneurship. Another one of the upsides is that like I can just focus on the very next skill that I need to learn, which is I really want to get into online marketing. And like, I'm just overjoyed at the idea of being able to like put out content and that attract business. Like, I see marketing as the ultimate game, like, because you're hunting human beings' minds. You're hunting their attention. You're reverse engineering.
Hunters now.
That's the way I see it. I see it as the ultimate game. Like you're attracting people to give you money, like give you energy, like life force. Like that's a beautiful thing. Like I say, it's very enticing to me. And so I'm not really looking forward to taking my foot off the gas. I'm looking forward to changing it and upgrading to a new car. Like I'm looking forward to being able to drive faster with the same amount of foot pressure. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Look, I need to update the vehicle.
Right.
How we get business done. Like, well, that would be exciting. If people want to reach you and help you figure out how to press the gas, how do they get a hold of you, Josh?
For sure. Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn, Joshua Plicque, Plicque. You can find me on there. There's a very few United States Pliques. That could be a whole nother topic, but you can email me at josh@orequals.com, or you can look at my YouTube channel, Joshua Plicque. I talk about things tech and stocks on there. So if you just Google my name, there's literally only 2 Joshua Pliques in the United States. And it's a white guy and a black guy. Just go to the black guy.
Well, now that we've solved the mystery.
Right.
So that's great. I am excited about Or Equals and the future of your company. Is there anything that I have not asked that you'd like to share?
So what I'd like to say, this podcast is talking about career conversations. Is what I'd like to do is I'd like to encourage everybody who's listening to this that no matter where you are, like there was a time in Or Equals history where I had legitimately, and I recorded a podcast episode about this, where I legitimately had $1.37 in my account right before I landed that $270,000 deal. Like my business was on its dying breath. Like, and so I guess what I want to say to somebody that needs to hear this is to keep going. I guess that's, especially with something like this, career conversations, if you're considering transferring careers and, I've tried this before, or I failed out of college and I'm 30 and I'm only making $15 an hour. I guess the thing I would like to say is you're still breathing and there's still a chance for you, and go for it.
Go for it. Yes. So everybody, Josh Plicque, founder of Or Equals, a software development company. So if you need them for your next project, remember your company is a software company, whether you believe it or not. Call Josh, y'all. Also, thank you, Josh, for being a part of Career Conversations and talking about your journey so candidly, how you have gone from, the $1.37 in your account to 5 employees, and how you've got goals to keep going and a vision to hire your next 7 or 8 employees and to eventually, really expand. And I'm excited for you. I want to be a part of your journey, so keep me posted on things. I'm hoping if you've got like a newsletter or something I can follow. I'm obviously going to kind of keep you kind of in the loop on LinkedIn, because I love to also like follow up people a year or two later. Go, hey, where are they now? What's going on?
Right.
I think that would be really exciting to learn some of the updates in your journey as well. So, friends, thank you for tuning into Career Conversations. Thank you, Josh, for being a part of the episode. Until next time, love y'all. And we out.